Okay, so for this section, we are going to graph the equation of a line, graph a line given an equation in slope-intercept form. We talked about slope-intercept form yesterday, where we can identify the slope and we can identify the y-intercept. All right, so there's 4 basic steps. Now, we've graphed lines before. If I go back through the notes, we've graphed given x and y intercepts, where we plot the intercepts and then draw a line through them. We've graphed lines that are horizontal and vertical. We have graphed lines making a table of values and then plotting the points and drawing the lines. So we have identified 3 different ways that really 2 different ways that we can do that. So table of values, x and y intercepts. So this is a 3rd way, and I think the easiest once you get the hang of it, on how to graph a line given an equation. All right, so here we go. So step 1 is I guess before you even start, you need to identify and make sure that it is in slope-intercept form. So we're going to practice as long as they are in slope-intercept form as we move on. They may be in standard form, so we have to do the math to get it into slope-intercept form so that we can then graph it. So, but at this point, we're just going to talk when it's already in slope-intercept form. The first step is to plot the y-intercept, and that's going to be your starting point. All right, obviously, make sure it's in slope-intercept form first. But first, plot the y-intercept, then identify the slope, and we're going to identify it as a fraction. So, for example, if it's a whole number, we're just going to put that whole number over 1. So if I have m equals 4, or negative 4, I'm just going to say over 1. And that's going to play into how we plot our points. All right, so from our y-intercept, which is our starting point, we are going to count the rise over the run. Now remember, your top number of the fraction is telling you how many spaces you're either going up or down. So in this case, it would be up 3. If it was a negative 4, it would be down 4. The run is telling you whether you're going left or right. So in this case, I would be going right 1. And in this case here, I would also be going right 1. And then you draw a line through those 2 points. Now this points out what is equivalent fractions. Now we've talked about positive fractions can also be written as a negative divided by a negative, because that is also a positive. Whereas a negative fraction, we either have to associate the negative with the top or the bottom, but not both. That's why this one is showing it's associated with the top, and this one it's showing it's associated with the bottom. So for a positive, we can either go up and to the right, or we can go down and to the left, however many spaces indicated. But if we are dealing with a negative fraction, we can go down and to the right, or we can go up and to the left based on the bottom number and the top number. So let's go ahead and practice a few of these with graphing. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you guys can see the points better. All right, so here are examples, and we're going to go through these steps, right? Step 1A or step 0 would be making sure it's in slope-intercept form, and these all are, of course. So if we look at this one, we have y equals negative 2x plus 3. Where 3 is our y-intercept and negative 2 is our slope. So the first thing I'm going to do is plot 3 on the y-axis. Like here's my x-axis, here's my y-axis. So I'm going to go to 3 from the origin, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put a dot there. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2, we have to identify our slope, and we're going to identify it as a fraction. So we have negative 2 as our slope, but I'm just going to put a negative 2 over 1, because this is going to tell me from this point, I'm going to go down 2 and to the right 1. So from this point, I'm going to go down 2 spaces and to the right 1, and I'm going to put another dot. Now you can keep doing that pattern as many times as you want, but you really only need to do it one more time. So down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. So that would be our plotted points. Now remember, we also said negative 2 over 1 is equivalent to 2 over negative 1 based on this theory right here, or this breakdown. So if we think of it in an opposite fashion, I can go up 2 to the left 1. up 2 to the left 1, and you can see it falls right in line with those dots. This is good to know if maybe your y-intercept is down at the bottom and you don't want to draw more lines on your graph, and you would just flip it and go the opposite way. So anyway, once we plot those lines, then we just draw a line through it and we're done. It's as simple as that. So again, plot the y-intercept and count the spaces of your slope in fraction form. So here's another one. So if we look at our y-intercept, it's -5. So I'm going to start on the y-axis and go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's -5. There's my starting point. I'm going to make my 4 a fraction, so 4 over 1. So 4 over 1, I go up 4 to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1, and I put a dot at that intersection. That's all I need to do. Then I can draw a line through it, and my equation, or my line, is graphed. All right? This is in a case, too, where fractions are kind of our friend, right? Because they tell us which direction to go when we are doing these types of problems. So here's an example where we have a -2/3 x plus 2. So this is still in slope-intercept form. We're going to go to our starting point, which is 2. 1, 2, and we put a dot there. Now, this is how it's going to be presented with a negative fraction, because the negative is going to be out front. So we now, as the student, need to recognize either we're going to put the negative with the 2 or with the 3, but not with both. So we're thinking of it as either this or this. Not with both, because that changes the value to a positive. So I can think of this as either -2 over +3 or +2 over -3, either one. So if we associate with the top, we go down 2 to the right 3. So down 2 to the right 3, and I put a dot there. And then you draw your line. If you associated it with the bottom number, that's fine. You're just going to go up 2 to the left 3, because that indicates the left on the bottom. Up 2 to the left 3, and you put your dot there. And you draw your line through it to indicate the graph. So that's how you graph lines that are in slope-intercept form. Much easier than doing a table of values and doing your inputs and your outputs. So hopefully this helps you with the assignment if you need clarification, and good luck.